exciting episode of The Extraordinary Men, and you guys know who this is. This is Phil Jones, Mike Jones, have you know me personally, professionally, and I am the host of The Extraordinary Men podcast. You guys know the single greatest co-host on the face of the planet. If I don't give him a grand intro, he will fight me outside. And y'all don't understand, like my life is in danger. I want to hold up a sign to say help, but I can't. But I'm going to do it anyway by introducing the greatest single A+ Mike on the face of the planet. State your name.
What is going on? I am Midas. Make sure you put a king in front of that. Let's go.
Somehow I don't feel like it. Let's go. Wait a minute. Hold
It's
up.
all good.
No, I think that is doing something. I ain't got no business. No, but anyway, how's your day going, young man?
Man, long day. I had to shoot out to Peoria. I had a big job over for a writer. I had to redo like all of their computer networking stuff or whatever. We did a big remodel over there. But yep, finally made it back home, and here we are. So that was a 3-hour trip there, 3-hour trip back.
So, did you learn anything new today?
Did I learn anything new today? I learned I learned that I really don't like these long road trips for work. I like them for going on vacation.
I hear that.
I'm getting tired of the long road trips for work. 2 hours here, 3 hours there, 4 hours here is kind of getting old.
You know what I learned today? The hard work is for suckers.
I know a bomb coming. What you talking?
There's a vast difference between working hard and working smart, and you got to learn the difference. So when I say
And what's
hard
that
work,
difference?
when I say hard work is for suckers, priding yourself on going above and beyond to do anything the hard way is not a flex. Priding yourself on learning how to do something difficult quickly and efficiently is a flex.
Yeah, that was a bomb. For sure.
You know, I've gotten to this place to where I start looking at everything in my life and understand if I would have just did this way, it would have opened up so many more doors faster. But because of the fact that I made decisions that did not necessarily work out in the best benefit, they put me at a disadvantage until I finally understood what the real reason behind the method to the madness was. See?
Yeah, you got a lot of individuals out here that take pride in, I built this from the ground up and I slaved 150 hours a week trying to do this, and like I just don't see. You're right. I don't see the flex in spending 150 hours a week and building something from the ground up. I mean, there's nothing wrong with building something from the ground up, but there's a magnitude of ways and a plethora of information and brains and YouTube videos or whatever that you can compile a lot of this information and try to go at it in a more effective, efficient way.
My thing is that if I spent 150 hours a week for the first few weeks, first couple of months, cool. But if 2 years from now I'm still spending the same amount of time to do the same job,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not getting better at it.
Yeah. And you have to recognize that.
So it's just one of those things to where it's like if I'm averaging 3 free throws out of 10 and I go outside 2 years from now and I'm still only averaging 3 free throws out of 10, what exactly are you practicing? And that leads me into today's conversation. We do the same thing so many times the hard way. And one of the easiest, hardest things that we do not take advantage of is credit. Now, we had this conversation a couple of days ago when we dropped our last video talking about money. We talked about money as a tool. We talked about mediums of exchange. Well, credit is just as valuable of a medium of exchange as money is. If anything, I would argue that credit is probably more important because of the way that our society is built on a debt wealth situation. And if you don't have the ability to owe, you don't necessarily have the ability to own. So if you are blocked out of access to take out a loan, which a loan is debt,
Hmm.
it can hinder your ability to be able to get the necessary things that you need to run your business. It could hinder your ability to get access to the car loan that you need. It can hinder your access of getting the home that you desire. It can hinder a lot of the access if you don't have the ability to get debt, which debt is tied directly into credit. So somebody's looking at your score, looking at your finances. They're looking at a myriad of different factors to be able to determine if you can financially withstand taking on the load of a $400,000 loan to buy a house. If that $25,000 car at XYZ payment is there. So somebody will give you a car loan, more than likely, and they'll tell you for what this guy over here with the 720 plus credit score is going to pay $400 a month for. Yeah, we'll give it to you, but we'll give it to you for $750 a month.
Hmm.
And then for what they're paying $125 in insurance for, you're going to pay $300 in insurance for. So what they're walking out paying $500 for, you're paying $1,000 for the same exact car.
Hmm. Because you're
Be-
paying a bad credit tax.
yeah, you're paying the tax, and I was just going to say that you're paying the cost of doing business tax. You want to drive like they drive? Well, you don't have to pay like they pay because they furnish their credit to ensure that they don't have to pay like you pay. So in understanding this, you have to take into consideration some very simple things when it comes down to credit. There's several categories of how to furnish credit, how to secure credit. I mean, we can get into all the different nuances of the different types of credit, or we can just keep it general. It's up to you. We can go as deep into it as you want.
Um, I say let's try our best. Because me and you have such an extensive knowledge of it. Let's try our best to give it to them in an easy digestible manner.
Okay, so
It's so vast and so broad, and there's so much information. And again, me and you know so much about it, and I mean, we're dealing with it daily, and we look at it from a whole different perspective. We'll slowly try to ease you guys into how we look at it and how we think about it.
so I'm going to pull something up on the screen, and I just want you guys to take a look at it. So this thing that I'm going to pull up on the screen is going to show us credit rating scale. And I want you guys to just look at it for a minute in case you guys are unfamiliar with what the scale is. So
Mhm.
this is the basic breakdown of the FICO score credit rating system. And it's letting you know based off of what those rates are. So 720 or higher is considered excellent credit. 690 to 719, good credit, which is really more so like a 670 to 719. But I'm not going to get too deep into that. But that bad credit rating, when you sit there and you look at it to where, oh, I'm at a five something, I'm at a low six something, you
Yeah.
have to understand that there's a heavy burden to be in the bad and fair category. There's a heavy burden to be in those areas because people don't want to give you loans. They don't want to give you access to money. They don't want to give you access to capital. You see, one thing that I always said is that there are a lot of good, hardworking people that they don't owe a lot of money. They just, like most people, were just one credit card bill shy of being able to pay something, medical expense, um, car went down, something happened to where they were unable to, and they had to rely on that credit card. It just became a downward spiral ever since somebody got laid off. You know,
Right.
there wasn't enough money in savings, had to deplete the savings for some major situation that happened, roof caved in, whatever have you. Most of Americans are in that same boat to where they are literally one or two paychecks away from being credit card dependent. That's what they call it, the job. What's the acronym is just over broke.
Hmm.
So when you look at something like this, I just want you to pay attention to the scale. Now the thing is that Midas, if you could, if you don't mind taking the reins on the screen share, if you could pull up the breakdown of how the credit scoring models are as far as like the utilization, the paying on time.
Yeah.
If you could pull us up,
I already got it up. I already
oh,
got
you
it
got
up.
it up?
That. Yeah, I was going to talk about that next.
All right, cool. I'm gonna go ahead and hand it over to you in a couple of seconds. But when you look at this thing that we're talking about, what happens often is that people are just a couple of payments shy of being dependent on utilizing their credit cards for survival. And when that situation happens, it puts you in such a heavy burden place that you don't know how to pull yourself out of it. So when we get into this breakdown, one of the biggest metrics is credit utilization. So one of the easiest ways to bring your credit score all the way down is credit utilization. And in the event that your credit utilization goes too high and it drops your score, sometimes just getting a loan to consolidate that debt will wipe it away. But guess what? Your score is too low to qualify for that loan.
There's so many different ways that you could play with your credit utilization too, because you have you have your you got your due date and your statement dates, and you can, you can learn how to figure out how to play with that and making payments within between these two dates or whatever, so you know when it reports how many days that your payments need to clear before report and stuff. There's a plethora of things that you can do to play around with your util, um whether it be simply applying for a new credit card just to have that credit amount or that credit limit add to your overall credit limit, and then that could bring your util down. Adding a loan, adding a car note or whatever that attaches to your overall uh, money amount that you have attached to your credit, and that'll bring your util down. There's so many different things that you can do. You can have somebody that has bomb credit history on a 10, 15, 20-year credit card, and they can add you as an authorized user, and they got a credit limit of like 20, 30 bands on that card, and when they add you as an authorized user, it gets attached to your credit, and that'll also bring your util down as well. Um, that used to be, in some cases, it may still work, but a lot of these companies are getting extremely smart, and now they're able to tell when a credit card, or when you become an authorized user within somebody's line of credit. And a lot of times they're not honoring that as much as anymore. That used to be the holy grail of credit, but it's slowly starting to where they're getting smarter, and they're not utilizing uh authorized users as much as they used to. So
I
uh
think it depends on the card because
again, it depends on the card, it depends on the company, it depends on what type of loans and things of that nature that you're trying to go for. Like I said, It's not that they're not using at all, is but a lot of companies, today kind of like, kind of moving away from that hack.
So one thing that I do remember that used to be good, they got away from. If you remember, like it used to be like those jewelry store cards and other things like that that would give you
Yeah,
those high limits.
yep,
And
yep,
then it's like that would be like you just buy something from them to keep the account active over say a period of time, and then
yeah,
it would give you access to those credit limits.
yeah. They
And
give you like a $10,000 line, $20,000 line, and then there was an annual fee and stuff like that. But yeah, they dropped all those credit lines too. So
yeah, they completely took those off of the record. And it's like I remember that, when I was on my road to recovery after making all my mistakes, that I had one that is like it gave me an initial line of $2,500. And I
mhm.
was just like, whoa, that's pretty cool. And it's just like it brought my credit utilization down to a nice little bit to where now all those payments that I was making to my car started looking like they were making significant changes rather than piece by piece. It's like going from 75 to 70 seems to be a lot easier than going from 90, 99 to 92. So it's just like just looking at the overall with that though, one of the things that I do say is that if you don't know how the credit scoring model works, I mean it's all over Google, but Midas is gonna go ahead and break it down to you guys in depth and help you understand it, and hopefully he could provide some of his own personal experiences with these things and just some of the learning curves that he learned, and I can do the same if necessary. So let me know when you're ready.
Yeah. So what I want to do is I want to talk about, and some of you may have heard it and probably don't know like in depth exactly like what it mean, but in the credit world they have what's called 35, 30, 10, 10, 15. All right. So but I got a model up and I'm finna explain it to you right now. Okay, so what you have is you have five categories as to which your credit is actually broken down into. So you have your payment history, you have your amounts owed, new credit, length of time, and then your credit mix. Okay, your payment history, as you can see, that is the biggest one. We have to make sure that you are making all of your payments on time. No ifs, ands, or buts. I know it sucks. I know that we run into certain situations, but all it takes is one payment and your credit can tank. Okay. Especially when you start getting into your 60 days, your 30 days, your 60 days, 90 days, you might as well forget it. You might as well just let them go ahead and charge it all, you know, and then you can fight it on the back end. But, that's a whole nother conversation. Don't take that as advice. Um, because that's definitely something on a whole nother show that we could talk about. But anyway, your 35%, that's your biggest category. That is your on-time payments. Okay. You want your on-time payments to read 100% on time. Your 30%, this is your amount owed. This is your util. This is the amount that you actually have available to you as far as your credit and how much you're actually utilizing. So you want to be 30% and under. Anything above 30%, that puts you at a high risk. And nobody is gonna want to loan you anything because you're over your 30% limit. Okay. A lot of people think that if they get a $3,000 card, that they can run it up and saying nothing is wrong with that. uh to be honest with you, if you spend over $300 on that card, you're at a 30% util on that card.
Was
Okay,
$900 on a
I'm sorry,
3,000.
yeah, I'm
Well,
sorry, $900. So you are at a 30% on that card. Okay. So you basically, in a nutshell, how lenders look at that or how creditors look at that, you're over leveraged on that card. Okay. Now, what I was explaining as far as bringing your util down, if you add another card, you can add another card with another $3,000 limit, and that will now increase your limit from 3,000 to 6,000. Now that'll bring your util down under 30%. Or you can add a short term loan or whatever type of personal loan that you want to add. That will also get added to your overall available credit amount, and that will also bring your util down. But again, you need to consult a financial advisor, fiduciary, anybody like that before you start making, decisions like that if you don't know what you're doing. Okay, your new credit. New credit is how often you're applying for new credit cards, new loans, new mortgages, stuff like that. Okay. You want to keep that under 10%. Normally, what you want to do is a real good length of time that I usually wait is 20, yeah, about 24 months. I usually wait about 24 months before I start applying again after my last card. So if I applied in, last month, I'm gonna wait another, 24 months to apply for something else. And that seems to be the best rule. And the main reason that I wait 24 months is because other hard inquiries that I may have captured during that time will have fallen off by then. All right. Your credit length. That's as you can see, that's another one of the big categories. And your credit length is how long have you had this credit limit? Okay. This is mainly more for like your revolving credit dealing with like credit cards, mortgages, stuff like that. So your mortgage on average is about 30 years. That's definitely going to be great on your credit length. Credit cards, you definitely want to try to get at least 2 to 3 years on your credit cards. And you want to have 2, 3 years of great payment history, never missing a single payment on that credit card. Okay.
Can I jump in there real quick?
Yep.
One thing that you have to bear in mind when it comes down to that specific one is that every time that you apply for new credit and you get it,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
an
Start the clock.
average. It's not just well, it's going to take into two different accounts. One is going to be your longest account that you've
Mhm.
had open, but another part of it is going to be the average of the age of accounts. So what happens that if I have a 10-year card, then I get a card that I just now applied for 10 years later, it automatically drops me down to 5 years
Yeah.
average.
Yeah.
So you
Yep.
have to bear in mind, don't just apply for the sake of applying. Apply based off of things that you're going to use. I won't necessarily say apply off necessity, but make sure that you're being highly selective about what you're putting your name on. And sometimes it makes sense to scout out what cards you want, and you may want to apply within a sequence if you and not apply for a long period of time for anything else if you don't have to. So if you plan on traveling, get a travel card. You need a cashback card, get a cashback card. If you're in balance transfer, get these things that, and again, these are all just ideas. I'm not a financial advisor. I don't want to make it appear like I'm giving financial advice. I want to throw that out there that there is a part of it that is an average.
Yeah, and you brought up a really good point. Is if you're going to travel, get a travel card. If you drive a lot, get a gas card, stuff like that. So you really want to make sure that you get cards that make sense to your life, that you're actually going to use. Because what's going to happen is you're going to start to rack up these cards. You're going to get a card from Express. Well, you don't really shop at Express like that. You may shop at Express maybe once a year. you know you need to get a card that you're actually going to use, because they need to see you to they creditors, lenders, the people that give you these cards, they do want to see some activity that you're using these cards. If you don't, then they're just going to close the account. So now let's say that you got an Express card and you had a limit on it for $1,000. Well, you only used it, saying once, and then you sat it down, you threw it in a drawer, and you thinking that it's that line of credit is just going to sit there forever. It's not. They're going to close it, and now that $1,000 limit that you had open on that credit card now goes away. It's going to show as a closed account on your credit, and it's going to drop your overall limit amount $1,000, which possibly could bring your util up to 30% or higher. So you want to pay attention to that. You got to use these cards. All right, your last one is your credit mix. Your credit mix is going to be, do you have secure credit cards? Do you have unsecured credit cards? Do you have any type of personal loans? Do you have any car notes? Do you have any mortgages? They want to see you in multiple different financial faucets. They want you in different products. Okay. They want to see that you can be in different products and you can make on time payments in these different products. Okay. Yeah, those are the smaller categories, but they can still, tank your overall score if you're not maximizing, these different categories to their full potential, especially payment history. If you don't do nothing else, to be honest, if you don't do nothing else, at least make your own time payments. Bare minimum, make your own time payments.
Because let me tell you something, it's like it don't matter if you have a decent score, just having that collection on your record can close a lot of doors.
Oh yeah.
And
Mhm.
trust and believe, depending on who it is. And then there's a whole thing with collections agencies and stuff too, and how that type of stuff is dealt with, how it should be dealt with, consumer credit and everything else, bankruptcy law. I mean, there's so many different facets to that, but you don't even have to delve off into that dark that dark realm if you just pay your bills on time.
That's it. That's it. A lot of your problems, a lot of your problems will go away. You will not have a lot of problems if you just follow that one simple rule, and that's just pay it on time. If
And,
you took it out, you pay on it. Like it's that simple.
and here's the thing too, because we all hit rough patches. Believe you me, the creditors want their money. They'll work with you. If you're behind on the car note, they can move that payment to the back of the loan to keep you current. If you're missing something with your credit card, they'll more than likely say, hey, pay us something, give us something, and we'll keep this thing going for you. I mean, there's even certain insurances that if you run into hard times, that they'll pick up and cover the expenses. That's a whole nother thing to look into. You get sick or something like that happen, that the insurance will kick in and they'll cover those bills for a certain period of time. So there's different avenues and different things that you can use to protect yourself when things happen. And they happen. And it's real life. However, the most important thing is in any rate is number one, don't spend more than you can afford to pay. If I lost my job today, am I over leveraged in credit to where I can't say, okay, now I have to do a life restructuring until I get my stuff back on track, pay off all of my debt now, pay off all of my credit card debt now, and then give myself a clean slate. If you cannot do that, you are over leveraged. When you look at your savings and what you have available, you have to look at it in terms of how many months can I buy myself until I can get myself back in position. If I'm not looking at it that way and I'm spending my credit cards like everything is good, let's just not pretend like COVID wasn't here. Like a lot of people didn't get laid off, like a lot of people didn't lose income, like a lot of people's income did not drastically decrease. So we have to be mindful of certain things. Oh, please.
But those are that's really key for you to be able to, make sure that you're building, fantastic credit. Those are the basics. Of course, there's a lot of other, different things that you can add to, manipulate your credit and things of that nature. Like I said, you can do the authorized credit, authorized user on someone else's credit card, and that can, boost your credit score. There's a lot of different uh I think Experian has like Experian Boost, and you can use that to boost up your credit score, where they take your I think like your rent payments or your utility bills and all that other stuff. There's this other company, I believe they used to be called Perch. I forgot what they're called now. Um, but what they do is they are built solely specifically for like Netflix and your YouTube premium and paying these little small subscription fees, and they give you a line of credit to pay those type of subscription fees, and then you pay them back. So and then they use that as a line of credit to report. So you can essentially turn YouTube and Netflix and all that into a reporting. Basically, it reports to your credit. So that's kind of cool. They also have this other program. I think it's called rental something, renter something. I'll look it up. But for those of you that's paying rent, you can add that to your credit as well. Your landlord, this company sends a link to your landlord, and then your landlord clicks on a link, and they simply click yes or no. Was this person on time? Yes. And then that then gets reported to your credit report as in your own time. So but I appreciate y'all hanging out with us today, man. I know this was a short one, but we wanted to, saying get in, get out for you guys and try to make sure that the information was extremely impactful, and we wanted to make it, saying straight to the point. So we definitely appreciate y'all, tapping in with us today. Make sure that you hit us up on the YouTube channel, like, share, subscribe, and click the bell. We need those 4 things in order for you to tap in. Okay, we're trying to get boosted up in the algorithm, so we really appreciate it. If you like the content that we delivering to y'all, man, help us out, man. That's all we ask. This channel is not just for us, but it's for you. All right. Also hit us up on Facebook, the Extraordinary Man Facebook group, and that's where you can tap in with us directly. Okay, don't be scared. We don't bite.
I mean, he don't bite. You see this? I'm biting, baby. No, I'm joking. Anyway, that's our time for y'all. There'll definitely be a part 2 on this, sure. Just be looking out for that. There'll definitely be a part 2 on this. I can't see why we wouldn't have one. It's just the realm of credit finance is just so deep. It's a rabbit hole all its own. So yeah, we'll definitely be back in tune with you guys very soon. However, that's our time today. And you guys know by now, I'm Phil Jones, Mike Jones, however you guys know me personally, professionally, and I am the host of the Extraordinary Man Podcast. You guys also know the greatest co-host. Well, you see how he started cheese right now? You see that? Because he waiting on me to say something great. Because he is great. He's the only person I know that can have a perfectly salt and pepper beard all the way around. And I'm upset about that because I have to shave mine off because I look like a skunk with my hair's growing out. You handsome devil, you. State your name.
I am Midas. Make sure you put a king in front of that. Let's go.
All right. Peace.
Peace.